good afternoon to you. Are we expecting that Cyril Ramaphosa is going to have a very tough time in his first Q&A session as president?
I think we can all agree now that the Ramaphosa euphoria, that post-transition honeymoon is now over, and now the work of accountability now starts here in the National Assembly. We are waiting to see whether the president will manage to neutralize a heckling Democratic Alliance caucus as well as other opposition parties. We do know that in the past it has been somewhat of a robust and raucous question and answer session during the tenure of former President Jacob Zuma. Now, what we've seen over the past few weeks with the President Ramaphosa here in the National Assembly, that he's been able to neutralize opposition parties in his addresses to the House. We're going to have to wait and see whether there is any robust discussion as we've been accustomed to over the last few years with the opposition and the President of the Republic. But as you said, some very interesting questions coming with regard to the question regarding land expropriation. The Democratic Alliance wants President Ramaphosa to detail his plan of how about government will go ahead with that. A question by the EFF's Julius Malema wanting some clarity on former President Jacob Zuma's legal fees. Now, we know the presidency yesterday issuing a statement that so far the former president's legal fees have come up to 15 million rand. We do know that the Democratic Alliance is having a press conference about that in just under an hour's time. But we're going to have to wait and see whether this will translate into any raucous, impromptu debate on the floor of the National Assembly.
The other very interesting one that I'm picking up from the questions that have been sent so far, Lester, also the role of traditional leaders, and that has never been more relevant than we've actually seen in the past couple of weeks as well. Traditional leaders, we haven't seen them being very vocal, but we've actually seen quite a bit around them in the past couple of weeks, haven't we?
No, that's right. This also would involve the question of the land expropriation question. What exactly is the role of traditional leaders when it comes to that government policy? Also with the Ingonyama Trust and the Zulu Kings Welatini also raising some very earnest questions regarding land expropriation. But also remember, there's the traditional courts bill that's also slowly making its way through the corridors here at Parliament, still going through committees and public participation, and whether in fact President Ramaphosa will in fact eventually sign off on that bill. So that question regarding traditional leaders also top of mind. There's also another question whether President Ramaphosa, how he intends to get public confidence back into the National Prosecuting Authority. There's been big question marks over the head of NPA head Shaun Abrahams, and whether the president will be taking any action with regards to Shaun Abrahams. Remember last week the National Prosecuting Authority head appearing here in Parliament, having to answer tough questions from the Justice and Police Portfolio Committee, why it took so long to act on those investigations, particularly when it comes to state capture and the Estina and Freda farm debacle in the Free State. So tough questions being posed to President Ramaphosa. It's during those supplementary questions and answers where we expect some fireworks to take place in the National Assembly.
I would also expect, after Malusi Gigaba appearing before that Eskom inquiry yesterday, Lester, are we to expect that he will have to face, that the president will have to face possibly many questions about why Malusi Gigaba remains in his cabinet once again?
And that's why we say that the honeymoon around the transition of President Ramaphosa is now well and truly over. At the time of his cabinet announcement, he was applauded for putting in some strong names in there, particularly in his economics cluster, but also being criticized for retaining names like Batabile Dlamini and as well as Malusi Gigaba. It's been a torrid few weeks for Malusi Gigaba, having to firstly explain the citizenship status of of the Gupta family, and then yesterday in the ESCOM inquiry of the Public Enterprises Committee, coming in under intense scrutiny by MPs in that committee about the role that he played while he was Public Enterprises Minister, during his first tenure as Home Affairs Minister, and also his stint as Finance Minister. There's going to be some deep questions that are going to be asked to Cyril Ramaphosa. Of course, it's within his prerogative to change and to change his cabinet at his will, but he's going to come under intense pressure from MPs, not only, I would suggest, from opposition benches, but also probably from members of his own caucus as well, or whether he'll be bringing in some changes of his cabinet.
We'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much. eNCA's Lester Kiewit, he's in Parliament, and we will be bringing you that all-important question and answer session, the first one for Cyril Ramaphosa as President. That happens at 3 o'clock this afternoon.